Lower taxes, less government, and self-reliance. They live here. Bill Martinez Live.
I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me.
Bill Martinez Live.
Well, hello, America. Bill Martinez here, 6 minutes after the top of the hour. For more information on the show, you can go to BillMartinezLive.com. Chris Farrell joins us now, Director of Investigations and Research for Judicial Watch. Chris, how you doing?
Doing great. It's great to be with you.
Well, great to have you here. Lots happening. Judicial Watch. Thank God for Judicial Watch. Again, my hat's off to you. Congratulations for all the hard work the team has been doing on behalf of we the people to hold them honest. What's the latest on the Mueller probe right now?
Well, it needs to be shut down, I think, is the most important thing. Enough's enough. Game's over. They're now arguing over really super incidental minor things that have absolutely nothing to do with the actual Trump campaign itself. They're resurrecting arguments about Mr. Manafort and his, various criminality years and years before ever being associated with the campaign. I believe it's in its sort of death throes, but I sure wish they would get over with it and write the report and be done.
Well, as you say, George Papadopoulos, of all people, you find out, all this stuff is incidental. Mike Flynn, FBI agent said he didn't count it as a lie. Suddenly, on a technicality, there's a penalty flag on the field. Mike Flynn is bankrupt, and his life turned upside down. And now we've got Jerome Corsi, who supposedly has some sort of connection with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. But, I find it quite interesting, and what I'm hearing, Chris, from my end is people are going, wait a minute, we're hearing so much about the tentacles to the Republican Party, but, there's obvious tentacles into the Democratic Party, whether we're talking about Hillary's emails, Uma Abedin's laptop that her then husband gets his hands on, and it's got, secured information on the DNC, the penetration of information, the downloading of massive amounts of information out of the DNC. And, of course, let's overlook the connection that the Podesta brothers had with Russia. You really have to suspend reality here, don't you?
It's willful blindness. All of the, if you really want to glom onto this Russian collusion hysteria, if that's your favorite topic, you really, 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 really believe the Russians did horrible things to us, well, start looking. Your starting point is Hillary Clinton, and all the money's there, the contacts are there, the conduct and behavior is there, the business connections are there. You can walk it even further back to Uranium One. All of the web goes in one direction, and the side of the equation that keeps trying to be worked is trying frantically to try and create or find some sort of link to President Trump, and it's non-existent. It's a joke.
Well, it amazes me, Chris, how they're stepping over really criminal acts to go after President Trump. Like a conversation I was having the other day with a friend, and I said, where was the original crime that should have been the precedent or the precedent to having a predicate is what I meant for having what was the predicate for having the special investigation. And of course the eyes turn glassy and you get the deer in the headlights look, because there was no crime to ignite this, but this was all orchestrated by James Comey on his way out. Which is amazing to me. He breaks the law by giving information to a professor in order to get a special prosecutor in play. And somehow that's okay.
And then taking it a step further into the world of absurdity, then Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General who had crafted the document that supported Comey being fired, he's the one, as a fact witness, who then goes on to appoint Mueller and supervise his activities. Which, talk about disqualification and conflict. And a novel, for summertime beach reading.
Right.
People would throw it down in the sand and go jump in the ocean for a while. They couldn't even bother to read it because it's so weird, so inconsistent, and so really ridiculous.
Yeah, and speaking of Mueller, what were we talking a week or two before his appointment as special counsel? He's meeting with the president, begging for the FBI job, right?
Correct. It is probably one of the gravest abuses of both our law enforcement and intelligence services. We were speaking about the FBI, wiretapping efforts by NSA and others. It's probably one of the greatest abuses of those two systems in our country's history, and it's all for the purpose of steering the outcome of an election. Yeah. And when they couldn't steer the outcome of the election, then they decided to go after the actual administration and undermine it.
Kind of ironic, because this is the very thing that Hillary Clinton had warned, that was saying that Donald Trump was going to come after her like some sort of third world country despot who attacks their political enemies. And I thought that was quite rich, considering what the Democrats had done under the previous administration in weaponizing the IRS with Lois Lerner, the EPA. I mean, let's go down all the three-letter agencies and how they've become weaponized. And they were used to do the Democrat Party's bidding.
Look, the left is always famous for what I refer to as projection. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is that they're accusing you of, some horrific, horrible thing, it's actually what they're doing.
Right.
You have no involvement in whatever this fairy tale, this conspiracy theory is that they're dreaming up. But they project it onto you as a defensive mechanism to kind of either distract or dissuade you from really examining what they're up to, and that's the great irony.
And that's a good point. I mean, for you as, being the Director of Investigations and Research for Judicial Watch, I mean, you're watching all these signals. I mean, they're indicating. I call them as in a sense, self-indictments. I mean, they actually come out and admit something without, I don't know if they do it by accident or on purpose, whether it's James Comey saying, oh, yeah, I did. I turned over that information to a professor, or Hillary Clinton, talking about bleach bidding her email information, and, 30,000 emails still missing. I still think at some point somebody's going to pull a rabbit out of a hat here, because some people have those. And, what concerns me, Chris, is as broad of reach of these emails and who had hands on it. I mean, including this guy, Imran, who was, heading the DNC, was Debbie Wasserman Schultz, IT guy, along with 42 other congressmen that he had there, all Democrats. I mean, God only knows what kind of information went out into the ether here.
Yeah, I mean, the Awan brothers scandal, Imran Awan is the head guy, but... that is another great travesty of justice where, what I believed was at some point the FBI probably had recruited them as assets to work against the Pakistani intelligence service. But that was thin cover for them to conduct all sorts of other criminality, and, the FBI didn't want to be embarrassed by the fact that they had been involved with this guy and been in contact with him and tasking him and perhaps even paying him.
Well, we've got to go to break. We've got more from Chris Farrell after this. Stay with us.